We're just gonna have to do it without video.
See, Tim Fox has joined us from Hanwell. So, Mr. Chair, whenever, there you
All
go.
right. All right, we're gonna call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everybody on St. Patrick's Day and wish you all a happy St. Patrick's Day. I apologize for not getting my video working, but I am technically challenged. But anyway, I need an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Seconder,
Seconded by Sheridan.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary by nay. Is there any conflict of interest? No conflict of interest. We're going to move on to the roundtable introductions. So I guess I can start off by letting you know I'm Kevin Nicklin. I'm the chair and the mayor of the municipality of Grand Lake, and I'm the guy with no video. Okay. So I get on my screen, Carrie, you're next.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carrie Bedford. I wear a few hats, so I'm here with the Service Commission underneath Department of Justice and Public Safety. So I'm the Regional Resiliency Coordinator for the Capital Region. And then in my full-time role, I'm actually the Community Engagement Coordinator for Anglophone West School District. So many of our schools touches on these communities as well. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Hey, Judy, you're next. How about while we're waiting for Judy, how about Robert?
Yeah, Bob Simpson. I'm a counselor in Nakawik, member of the Community Development Committee.
Okay. John?
Hi, everyone. I'm John Smith, the CEO of the Capital Region Service Commission, and really happy to see such a good turnout here today. Thank you.
Great. Please.
Hello, everyone, and happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm Nise Mare, and I am the Community Development Coordinator with the Capital Region Service Commission.
All right. Judy, it looks like your speaker's working.
Sure. I didn't know you were calling me. I was waiting to see if there was another Judy on there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So good afternoon. My name is Judy Wilson-Shee, I am the mayor for the Village of New Maryland, and I am the chair of the Capital Region Service Commission. And I want to thank everyone that's responsible for hosting this meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Is it Mariette?
There we go. Get unmuted. That helps. My name is Mariette Van Grinwood. I'm a counselor in the Village of New Maryland.
All right. And I got Elda.
Hi, I'm Lorraine Daw, counselor for the town of Oromocto and on the Community Development Committee.
Okay. Don?
My name's Don Fitzgerald. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Commission.
Okay. And my co-chair for today, Dave?
Hi, I'm David Hayward, Mayor of Summer York South Rural Community.
Okay. Brett?
Brett McRae, Executive Director with the Commission.
Jen?
Jen Peck, I'm the Physician Recruitment Consultant with the Department of Health, and I guess you're raison d'être today.
Okay. Paul?
Paul Meunier, Ward 2 Councilor, Arcadia, and I chair our Economic Expansion Committee.
Amanda?
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Foy. I'm the Economic Coordinator with the Commission.
Tim?
Hi there, I'm Tim Fox. I'm a counselor here in Hanwell, and I also sit on the Community Development Committee.
Okay. Greg?
Yeah, it's Greg Smith. I'm a councilor at large for the municipality of Grand Lake.
Okay, let's try Greg Erickson this time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Hey, one Greg's as good as another. I'm Greg
Exactly.
Erickson, counselor for the city of Fredericton and director at the commission, and I'm a member of both of these esteemed committees.
Okay.
So count me twice.
Sheridan.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sheridan Mawhinney, and I am the Deputy Mayor in the town of Oromocto.
Okay, Natalia.
Hello all, my name is Natalia Rodriguez and I'm an engagement manager with Stiletto Consulting. We've been engaged by the Capital Region Service Commission to do a project to analyze and enhance the physician recruitment process. So I'm excited to be here and hear all what's going on.
Victoria.
Is my mic working?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria Green. I am a counselor for the Nashwauk Rural Community, and I also sit on the Economic Expansion Committee.
Great. Bob.
I'm Mayor Bob Powell from the beautiful and friendly town of Oromocto.
Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia Gelda. I'm the CAO for the Village of New Maryland.
Okay, Susan.
Can you hear me at all?
Oh, that was kind of broke up, but I think you're walking or something. Bobby.
Sorry, I just tried to start my video and I can't. I'm Bobby Hart, Deputy Mayor of the Village of Frank Junction, and I chair our community and health for the Village of Frank Junction as well, committee.
Okay, and let's see, is there more? Ron?
Hi, I'm Ronnie Gadet. I'm from the Department of Local Government. I'm the Rural District Manager for the Capital Region.
Okay. I also have sitting with me Councillor Sean Patterson. I have our clerk and Andrea Musrall and our treasurer Tiffany with us as well. Tiffany Ward, sorry. And then is there anybody else that I missed?
Just Mr. Chair, it's John Kelly from the Capital Region Service Commission, Kelly Shaw.
How could I forget Kelly? So thank you, Kelly, for setting this all up. She probably shut my video off, and I just don't know it. So.
That's right.
St. Patrick's Day joke.
Hello, everyone.
She has control.
Yeah. So before I turn it over, I just want to let you know how important this is to all of us, including today. I was in the clinic and in our clinic in our area and talking to them, and the doctors are concerned that we have a nurse practitioner looking to actually just get into school because we started that program where we're helping out, and they're having struggles trying to even get enrolled in UMB, which absolutely confuses me. But that maybe isn't the recruitment process that you're looking at, but that is something that we definitely have to get a better handle on. So anyway, Jen, I think I'm going to turn it over to you at this time.
I'm going to share my screen, so I'll stop my video because you'll be very distracted by me and not watch my presentations. Let's see if this works. How are we doing?
Great. Looks great.
Good, perfect. So first order of business is just kind of announcing formally that a few months ago we changed our branding. So I used to just be recruitment and retention, recruitment through the Department of Health. And now we're actually the talent recruitment division, which has encompassed a few other sectors, but I'll get to that when we get to the structure internally. So after chatting with John, he had mentioned, a lot of people, physician recruitment is really complex and it has a lot of tentacles and stakeholders, and people tend to get lost in what the process could look like. And not, through no fault of their own, there are a lot of different processes. There's a lot of different natured candidates and everything looks a little bit different. So I thought, at least let's get everybody on the same page with the basics of physician recruitment and how it's all working right now in New Brunswick. But also with the caveat that there's a new government, there are new master agreements, there's the ever so changing landscape of recruiters and turnover. So things change, but I'm hoping that you all kind of come out of this having a better understanding of how it works internally and what my role is to all of this, as well as what communities can do to get involved, because that's another big question that comes in particular with the Regional Service Commission funding that was granted a year or so ago. So I'll start with just your kind of high level people. So that's a great place to start. So there's me, very outdated photo up in the corner there. And if you rotate clockwise, we have Heather Farrell. She started, I want to say almost a year ago now. She would have started in the summer, I believe, of 2024. She's now the manager of physician recruitment. So she kind of heads the whole recruitment piece when it comes specifically to physicians for Horizon. Then we have her current counterpart at Vitalité, who's Raphaël Albert, probably a little less pertinent to this conversation, but that's the face. Below him, we have Jérémy, who's one of his recruiters, followed by Catherine, who's also one of his recruiters. I put them on the bottom because you people don't care about Vitalité that much for the purposes of this conversation. Then we have Sarah Dockstetter, who's kind of in the center left there. She's what we call a talent acquisition specialist for Horizon. So you'll hear short-term, not short-term, but shorthand, they'll call them TASs, so talent acquisition specialists. That's a position that should be 3 people. There's one right now. They have another one in the pipeline. I believe an offer has been made and they're looking for a 3rd. So that's been something they've been recruiting for a long time. And I like to kind of drop that hint. If anybody has someone in mind that would be good as a physician recruiter or TAS, talent acquisition specialist, please share them with us. Someone dynamic, ideally someone bilingual. That's been kind of missing on the Horizon team. Someone who's great at presentations and information sessions and kind of headhunting and all that fun recruitment stuff. In the center there, you have Dr. Jody Enright. She has kind of 2 hats. So she's the medical director of the Greater Moncton region, but she also co-leads physician recruitment with Heather for the whole province. So when I started, it wasn't like that. So Heather kind of works out of the HR branch of Horizon. And I think what they came to realize was that physician recruitment being such a beast of its own, they took Jody Enright to co-lead physician recruitment so that there would be like a physician piece to this or a physician voice. So now it's kind of a relationship between HR and physicians. So they co-lead that together. Jody is kind of the voice of everything doctor related, and Heather's the voice of everything recruitment, candidate screening, interviews, the processes. And I'm sure they'd be happy to kind of talk about that more with you, but that's where I'm at with my explanation of it. It's been working really well to have those 2 actually together. So at the regional level, so there's the behind the scenes girlies, I guess. For Horizon, we have for not your zone, no, that would be zone 2. So St. John, Morgan, she's at the top left corner. Then we have Leslie for the Greater Moncton region. There's a brand new Jane coming. Oh, geez, something beeped at me. Jane is coming in soon to the Miramichi region. She hasn't quite started yet. And then for yours, you're getting a new girl, Jessica. So you might know Molly Pevlin. Some of you would. She is off on maternity leave as of last week. So Jessica will be starting, I believe, next week. And she has some really great experience. So we'll be very kind to her in her onboarding process. And then in the center, we have Joanie, who's the Vitalité girl. They only have 1 admin for their structure. And then Horizon has these 4 here. Any questions so far on the people?
I don't think so.
So just to let you know, the TACs, so the first ones that I mentioned were the TASs, the talent acquisition specialists. These are the TACs, the talent acquisition coordinators. They work at a regional level, whereas the others, or just Sarah at this point, works provincial. So these TACs work with your medical director in your zone. So in your case, it would be Ash, Dr. McClellan, who's going to be getting Jessica soon. And they work everything regional. So site visits, interview, candidate screening, the meetings, kind of that nitty-gritty granular candidate onboarding that happens at the regional level. Whereas Sarah over here, she works provincial. So you'll see her at the job fairs, the conferences, kind of more on the strategic plan. So that's kind of the 2 levels that Horizon has gone with. So for my internal structure, it looks something like this. So when I started, I was all alone with Sean, and then we grew and took on Rachel and Kasim. They do my job, but for nursing and allied health. So you might have seen those names before. And then recently, with the new structure of being the talent recruitment division for GNB, we've taken on long-term care and teachers as well. So we have Emma, who does long-term care recruitment, and then Jay, who does teaching recruitment. I think he might be from your area-ish. I want to say, I'm not entirely sure, but you might know him. He used to work at the district level, and now he's doing teaching recruitment. So a little bit of a change. And we have our marketing guy, Valentine. Okay, so marketing, this is really, really brief because I don't know how much you care about this really, but we did launch our marketing strategy in later 2023. So we're on kind of 2 years into this strategy. The idea was to centralize everything that is physician. So prior to this website and this strategy being launched, Horizon kind of did their own thing on their website, Vitality did its own thing on their website, and there wasn't much for communication between the two RHAs. So candidate experience was a little bit fragmented on that front. We launched the nbhealthjobs.ca website, and you'll see there's a tab called Job Opportunities. There's a physician-specific button. Everything across the province, doctor-related, is on that page. And that links to our CRM, or customer relation management system. It's kind of like a database that links to us. We manage that system. So every applicant, every job posting gets managed by the department, but each recruiter is in that system triaging candidates and receiving applications. So that's kind of where that is. In that website, there's a lot of community information as well. It's a lot, it's very focused on the lifestyle of New Brunswick. There'll be incentive information. There's, I don't know, job vacancy information. There's information for internationally educated graduates, just a bunch of good stuff there. And it's continuously improving. We launched phase 2 of the marketing campaign a few months ago. There's some nice testimonials now on our website. There's more digital reach. And here's just some of the stats that we were able to compile from phase 1. Phase 2 hasn't been measured yet, but we're getting a lot of traction, a lot of visits, definitely increased activity on all fronts, which is all good news. I didn't want to dive too deep into marketing, but if there are any questions about that, I can answer them. And if not, I can kind of move on from this, but it's just a lot prettier and better fronted, I guess, for the candidate. Health workforce planning is another division. So in my team, we have health workforce planning, we have international recruitment, and then we have myself, our team. International recruitment, you guys might know Jake Arbuckle. He's the director of that. That's everything when you see GNB out in, I don't know, Australia and Ireland and Dublin and all of those areas. That's the international team. And they do have a few countries that they target for physician recruitment. A lot of questions come from communities about, how do we increase international recruitment for physicians? It's a very complicated system because there's very few countries that we accept as a country. We accept their education. That's decided at a Canadian level through the Royal College. It's not a New Brunswick decision. So there's only 4 countries that we technically can target for primary care. So it's very limiting, but his team would be the one that would target those countries. And there are plans to visit those soon. Again, health workforce planning is sort of the computer of our team. So they do all of the monitoring and measuring and data compilation. They identify all the trends. They do market analysis. They do different research to figure out what other provinces are doing. So they're the ones that kind of bring out all of the funding and the programs and help guide the work that I do. And then another piece of that for me is our workforce planning person who handles physician resources, handles a few of the physician programs as well. So there's like pre-retirement programs, there's shared practice programs. It's a little nitty gritty, but anything that's funding related or Medicare related, that gets handled through our workforce planning team. And they also do all of the incentives and the contracts with the RHAs and the vacancy reports and et cetera, et cetera. So there is a much smarter person than me on the other side helping guide my work to know where I should go next, which leads me to this slide, which is right now a bit out of date. Data analytics is working on getting new stats, but this is what I'm working on right now. So that team, the data team, works with StatsCan to figure out what the gaps are going to be within the next few years. So right now, this is the template I have, which obviously shows that the biggest gap, the biggest, I guess, quote unquote, crisis sector would be general practice or primary care. So obviously the bulk of my efforts go towards family medicine, followed closely by emergency medicine. Psychiatry is also a huge gap. And then you can see how the other specialties follow. I don't want to say don't be alarmed. We should all be alarmed, but this is very much projected, and it's more of a gap that analyzes between the, sorry, someone's at my door, between the incoming physicians and those that are outgoing, what that gap is going to look like. And then at the bottom of the list, you see things like, physical medicine, plastic surgery. Just because those are low on the list, I always get people that comment, does that mean that we're not putting any effort into those? The numbers isn't the only thing that guides either. Some physician vacancies have more weight than others. So example, anesthesia, it might not look like there's a huge gap in anesthesia, but having a lack of anesthetist has a boule de neige, like a snowball effect on the rest of the procedures. So it's weighted differently, but this is kind of what you see for numbers. So my role, that was a big part of what I wanted to present today, was where do I fit into all of this? When I started in March 2023, this wasn't really a written position. It wasn't something that had a super defined metric, because at the end of the day, the RHAs are the employers. Horizon and Vitalité are the employers. They're the hirers, they're the firers, they're the interviewers. They do the site visit. So I had to figure out where I best fit and where I could more aptly apply my skill set. So a big part of my role is, part of it is technical. So, when I talked about the registry and the website, a bit of the headhunting tools, that's kind of me. Publications, I do write for a few different journals and articles, but a big part of it is coordination. So anything you see GNB participating in, whether it's a job fair, a presentation, an info session, a conference, a networking activity, whatever it is, it's my job now to coordinate all of that and ensure that the RHAs have a presence. So it's kind of lead generation or access to talent is where I best fit. I manage a group calendar, and we'll get into kind of the activities later, but I manage a group calendar between the two RHAs that tracks all of the recruitment activities we do and the leads that come from it. So anything that kind of joins us as a province, I lead that. I'm also the liaison between my partners and workforce planning. So if I see gaps in programs or funding, vacancies, et cetera, I would liaise and connect dots there. Stakeholder relations. So I do bridge together most of the physician recruitment stakeholders. A more tangible aspect of that is we do an annual meeting every April or May. This year it's in May, with everybody that's involved in physician recruitment. Minus the RSCs. I know I have RSC there, but there's too many to have everybody at the meeting. But we basically discuss the year's strategies and what's been going on, and make sure that everybody's up to date with everything that's happening in their respective organizations. And like I said, I compile all leads from whether it's the website, LinkedIn, events, medical schools, residency programs, all of it that gets housed in our structure that we share with the RHAs. I just wanted to put another little caveat. The RHA is in charge at the end of the day of hiring. My goal is really just giving them more access to more people and hoping that those people are knocking on the door. So a little overview of my first year in the role. We had a dozen or so information sessions across, I think it was 3 or 4 different provinces, almost 20 networking events, 13 job fairs and conferences. Again, you probably don't care about the nitty gritty, but just to give you an idea of where the time goes. 2024 was very, very similar. And we also developed an engagement strategy, and we had our first collaborations between the Maritime provinces with the Maritime Job Fair. And we also started establishing a resident working group, which is going to be launching next month, which is basically residents telling me how to do my job better based on what they're hearing from other provinces. Glimpse into 2025. So this is just what we have on the books right now. So it's a lot already for mid-March, but we have 9 info sessions planned, 14 networking activities, 33 job fairs and conferences, resident advisory committee coming next week, a rural retreat, which we're aiming for this summer to do a New Brunswick rural retreat and invite all family medicine residents to it from PEI, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. Exploring the US, that's another big hot topic. Obviously, things are happening in the States and some people are feeling like they want to leave. So we're trying to tap into the US workforce a little bit more. We had 2 recruitment missions there last year. We have 5 planned for this year. And I've been reaching out to residents that I can find online to try to plan some New Brunswick dinners. So those are in the works. I think one's going to happen in Maine soon. And we're also going to Washington, Kansas City, Philadelphia, and I can't remember the other one. And then further resident engagement. So another big part of my role now that I've understood the landscape a little bit better is where can I tap into kind of untapped resources. So just one example of this, I found a New Brunswick resident that was studying at Queen's in Kingston, Ontario. And so we planned a whole networking dinner around that resident, and we had 16 residents attend a Kingston dinner with our New Brunswick team with Horizon and Vitalité to kind of expose them to New Brunswick opportunities. So more and more, we're going to be out there trying to target residents and getting to know them and building relationships kind of outside of just the New Brunswick ones, but getting to know the other ones. So we're planning something similar, in Winnipeg, Calgary, and there's a third somewhere in Quebec. I can't remember exactly where. CPFP, that's your funding. And when I say your, I mean Regional Service Commission. So a year and a half ago or so, the department gave each RSC across the province a pocket of funding. I think it started at 100,000. It might have gone increased to 150. And the idea was to help communities get involved in a more tangible way in recruitment. But really it was designed to enforce or encourage collaborations between the communities and Horizon, Vitalité, and the department versus having communities kind of go rogue and hire people and headhunt. And it was really to try to combine the efforts. And I get a question a lot about what are good examples of ways to use these funds. So, this particular RSC is very aware of me coming around and asking for money. So I tried to use the community promotional fund to highlight the community with the contacts I have. So a few examples of this would be, we did a retreat in Sackville with family medicine residents. We coordinated with Tantramar and they stayed at Mount A. It was during the summer and they did tours of the hospital and different clinics and kind of had a weekend there. So that's something that can be done. We're doing it very soon in Fredericton as well and Oromocto with emergency medicine residents this summer. We did something similar in St. John. We also draw prizes. So whenever I go out on my many job fairs and conferences, we'll try to do lead retrieval in an effective way. So we draw a prize, have people enter the prize. That way we're getting their data. And then we draw a getaway in one of our New Brunswick communities and build site visits and exploratory visits around that. So there's actually quite a success story with this. We did it in Montreal and the winner brought her family to the Edmundston region. She ended up not choosing to stay, but she told her resident colleague about her experience. That resident colleague then visited the area and is now signed for this year. So it does give a kind of insight into our regions. I like to particularly target rural where I can. And it gives some kind of tangible experience there. So that's another way that people can get involved. I mentioned that I developed an engagement strategy. So this is obviously not for you to read. It's very, very tiny. It's just a screenshot, but this is kind of the development of how many touch points, activities, job fairs, networking events, presentations, what are all the touch points I want to accomplish with medical learners mostly, but also with real candidates vis-a-vis job fairs and whatnot. So that's what this looks like for this year, and we're well on our way to reaching these numbers. But I guess this is one way of just kind of displaying that when people say nothing's being done for recruitment, there's so much being done for recruitment. It's just really, really difficult because we're all going after the same pools of candidates. Every province and most countries are going through shortages. So oftentimes it's something completely beyond our control why someone wouldn't choose. But what I want to make sure of is no one is not choosing New Brunswick because they haven't heard from New Brunswick. So if I can at least get them in contact with us, our communities, our RHAs, in order to make an informed decision, I would be happy and feel like my job was somewhat done. Well, not done, but well accomplished. And that's where I'm at. I figured there would be a bazillion questions, so I will open myself back up.
Okay, I appreciate that, and thank you for the presentation. It does help us try to understand. Just prior to any questions, could I ask our CEO, John, is that $100,000 that she's talking about? Is that the one we voted on to spread between Oromocto and Fredericton?
It is.
Yes, it is. Yeah, no, that's all right, Jennifer.
So
Yes,
I
and
would
it's
find,
actually 50 for last year and this year. It was 100. It started at 100, and then it went to 50,000 per year for the next 4 years.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So I
so
would
it's
find,
25,000 each. Yeah.
okay, I would find it difficult to not harvest that rogue feeling when people are going in communities such as my own, where we don't have necessarily a good feeling of doctor recruitment, and that we are actively doing that and actively subsidizing whatever's necessary, because I have a major employer, an industrial employer that is also working in that fact. So it might be something that we should be reaching out and trying to coordinate correctly, I guess. So, okay, Greg, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for the presentation. It's very appreciated. One simple question to get us going. How can we help?
Yeah.
And now I'll complicate it. How can we help in a way that we can scale our response to the intensity of public concern? Thank you.
I'm going to caution my answers because at the end of the day, I'm not Horizon. So I do have to co-align between what I think and what they think. What I think is a huge missing piece to everything is retention. There is a me in recruitment. There is no me in retention. And when I look at the numbers every month of recruitment, and I'll be fully transparent here, the numbers last month were, I won't be exact because I don't want to be quoted on it, but numbers last year were roughly 150, 160 recruited, and over 100 left. So our net increase was 50 or so. If retention was stronger across the board, it would make recruitment feel a lot more successful. And that's where I think communities can have a lot of impact. I have examples of regional service commissions across the province that do really good recruitment, appreciation, recognition events with these funds. And that's somewhere that I think Horizon could use support, and the province as a whole could use support. I love community prizes. I love being able to send people into your communities and build kind of an exploratory visit around healthcare around that. Products, marketing materials, that's always helpful. I don't know if I've given some good leads so far, and really just a willingness to reach out to learners. There's the reason why I say physician recruitment is so different than other recruitment is that the cream of the crop, the crux of what we're trying to recruit are learners. You're not going to fill your needs by flopping Dr. So-and-so from Nova Scotia who has a career and a practice and a family and a house. Not to say those people don't exist, but if we just simply retained our own students and our own residents, that would already allow us to be leaps and bounds ahead of where we are. So engaging with learners and making them feel like they have communities in New Brunswick is really powerful. I've had communities reach out and say, this is a recent example, they want to host a sugar bush activity for medical students. So that's a fun way to use the funds. It includes us. We can have a recruitment spin on it. We can showcase a community and kind of build relationships with the learners. And we can do that at the resident level as well. I don't know if that was an answer or not. Good.
Director Wilson-Shee? You're muted.
Okay, there. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. And yes, we're very thankful for the funding. And I know the directors around the board, we talked about it and where it was best to allocate it and everything. So I just want you to know that for the Village of New Maryland, we have a clinic. We have all the infrastructure, but it hasn't been used in almost a year. And I have talked with Sean Parker. We had a face-to-face meeting, and I know I sent him all the information, what is in that facility. Just a little over a year, I think it's been vacant. We would really like to see people come into that clinic and open it up and work for our residents. And you might be aware of that.
I am aware. I did send it to Horizon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's our next step as far as the Village of New Maryland is concerned?
To get someone in that clinic?
Yes.
To keep pushing Horizon.
And the main contact person would be?
So for this region, it's Dr. McClellan.
Oh, okay, yes. He's actually came and made presentations to the Capital Region Service Commission. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Okay, Robert, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, and thank you for the presentation. This question has to do mainly with the supply of nurses. And I'm wondering if anything is being done currently with respect to analyzing a lot of data to predict our need for nurses in New Brunswick in 10 years, in 15 years, in 5 years. Because it seems to me we go through this cycle of having enough nurses barely, and then not having enough, and then having enough again. And I'm just wondering is there any work being done in predicting the need, which would then bounce forward then to recruiting nurses to go into, students to go into training for nurses, knowing that there's going to be a job available for them probably in 4, 5, 6 years.
I can't speak with authority on nursing because I only do physician recruitment, but I did speak with our data analytics team yesterday about physician projecting because the stats I have are old. So I was wondering how far we were with collecting the new projected data, and they're doing that right now for physicians. I'm gonna assume they're also doing it with all of healthcare. I just put a note in my notes app to see if they are, but right now they're going through the whole stat scan situation and they're evaluating comorbidities and trends and the whole shebang to figure out what we need for physicians. So I'll just see if they're doing it for nurses, but I really can't guess because it's not my sector, unfortunately. But on the recruitment front, there are 2 people like me that work in the nursing space, and they're doing really great work with engaging the hundreds of nursing students we have within the however many campuses across New Brunswick, for both RNs and personal support workers and long-term care.
Yeah.
So on the recruitment front, that's happening. In terms of data, I really can't speak with authority on that.
Do you know if the training universities are able to look forward to see the need down the road so they can judge their class sizes that they're willing to accept and so on?
I mean, again, it's hard for me to say that. It's not my sector. I can say just kind of anecdotally, I used to work for a college and there was a nursing program. And I know that that college would liaise with provincial partners to kind of match what was coming up. So basically they wouldn't admit X amount of nursing students if there wasn't going to be jobs to go into. So I know that work is done at the educational level, but I don't want to overspeak.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank
I could,
you.
with John's help, have a similar session with nursing recruitment if you had nursing questions.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. I have a question for you. UMB has a new program for physicians, from what I understand, and has the province looked at talking to them about retaining spaces for people that are going to become doctors within this province?
I'm not aware of UNB having a program for physicians. Is it maybe the physician assistant program?
Well, you know what? Maybe I'll withdraw that until I find out. Or have they have you looked at other areas about utilizing funding for kids basically to go to school and become doctors and then come back to our province?
So, okay, I think I understand your question. So we fund right now in New Brunswick, we fund seats at 2 of our medical schools. So we have 2 medical schools in New Brunswick. And then we fund a very small amount of seats in Quebec as well for medical students. That's as much as we can do. It's not so much lack of funding. It's the province where the student trains needs to be able to accommodate that student in its healthcare system when they're doing their clerical rotations and whatnot. So provinces won't just accept money from New Brunswick to add medical students to an already strained system. They're having a hard enough time, just like us and everyone, finding educational space for medical students. But we fund 28 seats per year at the Centre de Formation Médicale in Moncton, and we fund 40 seats per year at DAL in St. John, and then 6 per year in Quebec, and that's kind of as far as we go. Before we explore funding other provinces' seats, I think the province is going to look at expanding our own programs, because I don't believe another province is going to take our money to add students that will ultimately not be theirs.
Okay. Is there anybody else have questions?
Mr. Chair, Carrie Bedford had her hand up, and member Tim Fox has his hand up.
Okay. Carrie, do you want to start?
Sure, thank you. Jen, thanks for the presentation. I guess I'm coming as an allied professional, so I'm dietitian by trade and doing some community development work, and I've worked in various healthcare settings outside of my role here. And some of the things we hear at our resiliency network table is just some really unique needs that are changing and having to kind of really restructure how we've done things to date. I'm curious around like that retention element you've brought forward. We hear it everywhere. We need more physicians, we need more nurses, but there's a lot of other folks behind the scenes that are keeping the wheels moving, and that contributes to the health of a workplace. So building those like micro communities of workplace and well-being. Where do you see that need, or is that being factored in some of that physician recruitment? Because if anything, I think there's collaboration that could be done to help address how do we build a place or workplace where a physician feels, that they're not meeting, that moral burnout, like you feel stuck in the system, right? Another chain link piece. So if you feel stuck because there's no nursing to do these programs, or there's not enough food service staff to make healthy meals for that prevention piece, like how far ahead are we looking here? And that might not have come out as gracefully as I hoped, but there's a lot of hands in the mix when it comes to service delivery. So how do we factor in not just what I would call the quarterbacks of healthcare, like these are the folks that are delivering those services, but how do we set the play by leveraging those support services as well?
Big question. I'll take it in 2 parts. I've always been really clear with every presentation I've done that I'm recruitment and not retention. And it's not because I don't think retention is important. It's because I think it's so important that it needs its own human. And no one should be splitting themselves into both, because they're both so big and you don't want to half do both. So that's one thing. I think people can potentially push for a development of retention consultants to help support in the way that I do for recruitment. That's number one. Number two, there's a whole movement right now for team-based care and team health clinics and collaborative practices. And I think that's the future of retention, at least for physicians, is creating these communities where they're not alone and they're not drowning. And Horizon has been making some pretty big strides on what that's going to look like. And it's going to involve different allied health professionals. It's going to involve different funding. It's going to involve a lot more support. They're not going to be these solo practitioner entrepreneurs that are not only doctors, but also getting buried by the burden of business ownership. So that, I think, for me, is going to be the biggest impact on their overall health, is having group.
Uh-oh. I think she froze. Well,
Boat. And I think more and more new physicians that are coming into the system are refusing and have no appetite for the solo practitioner life. So they're all looking to kind of collaborate, and I'm seeing that become much more of a trend. This is, again, anecdotal, but I've seen some of my new residents graduating actually join physicians. So these solo practitioners that have been kind of drowning and burning out are getting an influx of grads that actually want to join their practice, share. So that's another thing that I think will help. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, thank you.
Okay, Director Fox, sorry I missed you. You're not even on my page, so.
No problem at all. Thanks so much. I'm actually asking this question for Susan Jonah. I think she's having trouble. She keeps getting booted off and back on. I think her internet out in Yoho isn't the best, probably. But her question was, it's really around the retention portion. And just wondering if we know that a number of doctors are leaving the province. And just wondering if those are new people who have come in and for whatever reason they're leaving again, or if it's people retiring, or do you know what the reason is for these folks leaving?
In short, Horizon tracks that information, so I'm not particularly privy to it. But just from knowing and conversations, it is a lot of retirements, a lot of phase outs. I don't generally see a lot of doctors that just up and take off for another province. Generally speaking, it's someone kind of leaving the workforce is what I'm hearing, but they would have.
Great. Thanks very much.
Okay, is there any further questions?
I just froze. Am I frozen?
No, you're not frozen now, but you were
Okay.
frozen.
I was, yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, I don't know if there's a separate meeting with Horizon to kind of dive into stuff, but yeah, the retention of their employees is more their ballpark.
Okay. Is there
Mr.
any
Chair, it's John, if I may, sir, just for a moment.
Please.
So, Mr. Chair, I guess to our co-chairs, thank you very much for allowing us to kind of hijack your meetings and put this on both agendas. I think it's certainly proven to be very beneficial here today. For the directors and members of the committees and all others that are on the call, so we've recently engaged, many of you already know this, but I'm just doing it as a public service announcement. Many of you already know this, but we've engaged Stiletto Consulting to do a review here in the capital region. And we've started that process. Natalia is on the call here today with the manager of engagement. And they're very skilled in this area, is why we chose them. They're also going to be looking at the process. They're going to be looking at things such as Jen spoke about in terms of retention. Like what's that about? Is that a gap, an opportunity? We see it as an opportunity to strengthen. In all fairness, Mr. Chair, in your community has a great wraparound service, especially for new people coming into the community, primarily newcomers, but certainly the same process can be applied really to just about any professional or anyone around. We have 2 physician recruitment groups. I noticed on Jen's one of the slides when she was talking about the resident recruitment events. We're sponsoring along with others one this summer, especially with the city of Fredericton and the town of Oromocto. And just recently, the town of Oromocto had some very good news. Jen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there was 2 new physicians that were announced in the town, or maybe Director Powell could correct me here, and one that will be taking over a practice of a retiring physician. So we do have a lot of good things happening. I think what we have to do is start changing the narrative and supporting our healthcare workers, supporting Jen and her team, the crew at Health, supporting our Horizon team. But really what we need is when Natalia and her team are looking through Stiletto, which is, and Jen Evans is the CEO who was going to be on the call with us today, but got caught at another meeting. But when Stiletto's out there doing this, they're looking at this opportunity of how can we look at where the gaps are, what do we need. Some communities are offering that space, such as in Director Wilson Shee's area, and Director, and Mr. Chair, and there's lots of space. We've done an asset map that will soon be available on the website. Lise Morin is on our call here today, our Community Development Coordinator. And one of the initiatives that we're going to be undertaking over the next year is how do we bring those groups and learn from one another? Not a duplication, but a replication in other areas. How do we learn from one another and keep our costs low, but keep our effectiveness high? And then how do we ensure that we're always informed and and in present? So we're looking at all, possibly looking at our regional strategy. How do we fit physician, nurse practitioner, and healthcare recruitment into that strategy? What does that look like? How do we lead it, and how do we develop it? This is one of the biggest challenges we're facing right now. It comes up in just about every conversation you have. And the good work that Jen and her team are doing is exceptional. But, like anything, we're continuously improving. And I think if we support them and we support the folks at Horizon, get an understanding of how all the different pieces work and how they fit together, I think we'll have a strong region and we'll be able to help in meaningful ways. So I think that what we have to do is get together as a region. Our leadership needs to come together and make sure that we're promoting the region the best way possible. Just so that you know, some of the things that have been happening over the past year and a half with the Community Promotional Development Fund, we've had recruitment events. We've developed short videos and longer videos. So the 90-second videos, which is considered long today, and some very short 15 to 30-second videos, so that when new recruits are in their or potential recruits are in their dormitories or apartments, wherever they live, they're browsing around, our information pops up. And we've done that in partnership with our Capital Region Tourism team. And we've done that, with Ignite in developing a toolbox with the New Brunswick Medical Society. And when we look at how do we invest for the future, we had that presentation from the New Brunswick Medical Education Foundation. So we've got a lot of things in the hopper, and we're hoping the good folks at Stiletto, and I'm looking down, I can see Natalia on the right of my screen. He's smiling, and I know they're up to the task, but to take that and put it all in some frame that we can all participate and share in and see that information and how that whole process rolls out and how I say the royal we, and that's to my directors and their alternates and the members of the committees, how we support that together as a region. So that's the royal we ask in that. So sorry, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to give a plug for all the good work that's happening and about to happen in the region, and thank Jennifer, especially. She reached out earlier. Last year, we did a recruitment draw. We provided some swag and some assistance for that, Jennifer, last fall, and certainly helped greatly in getting the names and creating the contacts and the data to follow up with these residents. And that makes Jennifer's job a lot better. And she's able to get that information to Horizon and then follow up. So anyway, didn't mean to go on so long, Mr. Chair, but really excited about physician, nurse practitioner, and healthcare recruitment in the region. So,
well,
and I see Director Erickson has his hand up as well. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
That's fine. I agree with the fact that we should get ourselves organized, and I wrote down several statements about potentially being rogue and that, but it's very difficult when you live in a rural community and you see the funding and the recruitment opportunities because of the need being into the major centers, and it's an issue. When I went to the clinic today to see that there was nobody local in my clinic that I could see, and they were all from the major cities because they could get seen in our area. So that becomes a big issue, and we will deal with it, and we'll want to work together to make sure that we get the right solution. Greg Erickson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I made a note to myself that whenever CEO Smith mentions more than 5 things in a row, I need to ask on timelines. So when will the Stiletto Consulting Report be in front of Capital Regional Service Commission Committee for discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to you, Member Erickson. So we just, I think we just inked the deal last week with Stiletto. Natalia, did you want to say anything on our timelines, or Amanda, one of the?
Yes, I can speak to that. I'm just pulling out our document just to ensure I give you the most accurate data. But we should be looking end of May, June, assuming that no obstacle is found along the way. So for example, if we get an update in the system or more information from client comes, it might be a little bit delayed, but May to June, you can expect the final deliverable from our team.
Okay, and I think
Thanks, Natalia.
as John mentioned, the videos and whatnot, is there a time that we could actually get a copy of those and see those videos, and or where would we find them, I guess?
We can get that information for you, Mr. Chair, and disseminate it to the group.
Okay, wonderful. And as far as Jen's presentation, will that be available to the group as well?
I can send it.
That would be wonderful.
Oh,
Okay.
who would I send it to?
Probably to John, if that would be, and then John, maybe you could send that out to the directors and we can go from there.
Not a problem, sir.
I appreciate that. Okay, in a matter of time, is there any further questions? This is a hot topic, and we appreciate you being patient with us, but it is a hot topic for us.
Are you sure?
Okay, I don't see any more questions. So, Jed, again, from all of us, I want to wish you a thank you for putting on this presentation and helping us better understand what we can do to help with the recruitment process and retention and all that good stuff. And I'm sure there's going to be many questions that maybe we could funnel through John, if it works for us and or for you. I'm sure there'll be more that we think of after we're off the air. Okay. So I think at this point, we move into the general discussion, direction to staff. John, I see your name beside that.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I think from today, what we'll do is certainly share the information, the presentation, what we have. I'll get some, we'll have more information out here soon on the Stiletto project. They've already started their groundwork and their research in the region, and we'll continue to keep the committees apprised of what's happening. And perhaps we do this again, hopefully jointly before summer to bring that forward, and then to the board as well. So I'll have a part of it'll be part of an update at the next at our AGM in April, Mr. Chair, and then we'll continue from there. So again, we have some things in the hopper that are working, and we'll continue to bring forward those assets as we develop them and share them with you as well.
Wonderful. So I thank everybody on St. Patrick's Day for attending the presentation. It was well done, and we certainly appreciate all the hard effort. And with that, I would need a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Second.
Seconded.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Great day.
Bye.
Bye now. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.